So let's talk about this difference between the anonymous functions and the arrow functions. So they have to do with the this parameter. Let's look at an example. So there is a set timeout which will call something after a certain amount of time. So let's say we just specify a function that doesn't take any parameters, and we'll do a console.log of expired, timed out. Okay, and we'll do that after 1000 milliseconds. So after about a second, it print timed out. That's great. We can alternatively call that with an arrow function, right? We can say we have no parameters, and we're going to just do a console.log of timed out. And it says timed out. That's fine. Now let's make this slightly different. Let's create a class which has a constructor that says this dot foo equals 5, so it has a value 5. And then we have a function in here that will call timeout. So it's going to call timeout, and we want to print out the value of foo when it times out. Okay, so let's just look at what happens. Foo equals this dot foo. So if we now create a bar, and now we call b.doIt, it said timed out, and that's great. It said foo equals, and that's great, but now we get an undefined. The reason for this is when we create this anonymous function, it closes over all of the variables in the function and any enclosing functions, but it doesn't capture the value of this. And the difference between arrow functions and this is that arrow functions do. So let's go ahead and change it to this. Okay, and we're going to see timed out foo equals 5. So it successfully remembered the value of this. Okay, that's really one way to think of it, is that when you use the anonymous function syntax, it forgets what this is. And so when it's called later, it has no idea what this is. It's using some different value of this. But when you're using the arrow syntax, it does remember the value of this, along with all other variables that are available. So if doIt had a parameter in it, or a local variable, then this anonymous function could use those parameters or local variables. So the anonymous function can be very confusing in the fact that this is lost. So in general, just use the arrow functions, but know that they're newer in JavaScript. So you may see existing code that doesn't do that.